K-pop dates back to the first ever group, Sotichi and Boys, debuting in 1992, and ever since then, the K-pop industry has grown tremendously, with creative, influenced, and taken ideas molding K-pop into what it is today. These ideas are what I would consider to be K-pop traditions, and like any other tradition, they either fade with time, or they grow and change with the times, or they strictly stay the exact same, usually due to someone not wanting that old tradition that once was viewed as normalized and a way of lifestyle to never change or fade at all. This is usually because these traditions almost become habits and ways of living, and if they've lived their entire lives in the ways of this tradition, it's most likely very hard to break, and also something they probably will never want to change since, like I said, they've lived their entire lives this way. Nowadays, newer generations have been pushing back on older traditions that do not align with them morally. And with the rise of K-pop's popularity and the constant growth of its fandom, the doors of the world of K-pop have quickly opened to many different types of people with different cultural backgrounds, different upbringings, different ways of living, and different set morals. Because of this, there have been a rise of complaints and things that were considered to be normal within the K-pop industry in older times, and also things that are considered normal within Korea's own society, with these complaints ranging from nitpicking or petty arguments to many deeming some of these things to be morally incorrect or just straight up disrespectful to other cultures. I got the idea to make this video because I've seen many different posts on TikTok talking about this issue of many things that we consider to be normal in K-pop slowly fading, and some even being replaced by newer traditions. So I decided to make a video about it because I really want to talk about and give my opinions on the fading and rising traditions of K-pop. Also, just to note that this is part 1, I didn't really want to make an incredibly long video, and since I had so many different things to discuss, I decided to just make this a little short series. Whenever I first got into K-pop, I remember stumbling upon a website called K-pop Profiles and being amazed at the fact that there was an entire website dedicated to giving you facts and information on every idol and group within the K-pop industry. The one thing that intrigued me the most were the set positions. I had been into many boy group and girl groups before getting into K-pop and had never heard of these type of positions. While of course in bands there are positions like the lead guitarist, the drummer, the pianist, the lead singer, but I had never seen or heard of a group that's more performance-based instead of instrument and vocal focus to actually give each member set positions within the group. Nowadays, I believe the reason why we no longer see set positions is the rise in complaints of certain members only being given the visual role, with many deeming this member to be less important, useless, or even saying that giving this idol only a visual role lowers that idol's self-esteem and rises their insecurities. I literally remember this whole situation vividly and how much it really struck towards the end of 3rd gen. There began a huge conversation about if the visual role really needed to ever be a thing, why it was even a thing, and it even became a hot topic once again during 4th gen. I think that people forget that K-pop groups are based in Korea, a society that focuses heavily on visuals and beauty, with usually the visuals in the group being the closest to Koreans' beauty standard. And a lot of the times visual members actually pull a lot of attention to groups, especially whenever it comes to Korea. And I think a lot of people also need to stop and realize that these visuals are obviously in the group for a reason, not only for their looks, but the fact that they can hold their own. Besides the fact that there are many visuals that are not only a visual, but are very strong dancers, very strong singers, very strong performers, very strong rappers, but to the idols considered only visuals, I think a lot of people forget the amount of work, effort, and strength it takes to train train to be a K-pop idol, and to even make it into the final lineup of the groups is insane. It takes so much to get there, and not only are these idols hardworking and talented, their beauty is positioned as a role for a reason, because K-pop is not only an experience through music and sound, but is also an experience visually. People are inherently drawn to things that are pretty, that are beautiful, that are well made. So a member being given a visual role is actually a very huge thing. I personally hate that this tradition of having full positions is slowly fading and being replaced with a more lackluster version. I actually think that positions played a huge part in K-pop, with many of these idols introducing themselves as not only their stage name or their name, but also what position or role they played within the group. But like I said, I really do like these full positions, and it is honestly really sad that it will probably no longer be around. So I wanted to combine these two together because I definitely feel like they both stem from the same changes whenever it comes to how the new generation consumes media. Because of the popularization of TikTok and how other apps have now copied the idea of having an endless timeline of short clips that you can scroll through for hours. Because of this, kids, teens, young adults, and probably much more are now losing the capability of having patience and the attention span to focus on something longer than at least a minute. With many having the mindset now of why watch a 30-40 minute or an hour long video when you could just get on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and watch quick clips of information and entertainment. This issue of reduced attention spans has now trickled over into other types of media. Many have noticed the increase of shows on streaming devices only having 10 episodes, which is not only catered to the fact that a lot of people nowadays don't want to sit down and watch 20 episodes of a show, but it also comes from the fact that streaming is a huge part of how many companies make a lot of money and win a lot of their awards. With shortened episodes of seasons, it makes the show a lot more easier to binge within the first day. And the same thing goes for K-pop's new trend of releasing EPs and shorter songs. The shorter an EP, the more people are willing to sit down and listen to it, and the more it will probably be streamed over and over again. A shorter song increases the likeliness of the song being streamed a lot more, since having shorter songs usually leaves the listener with wanting more. Variety shows like Knowing Bros and Weekly Idol were some of the most popular and most talked about among K-pop fans, especially international ones, and while they do still air today, they are a bit different from what they used to be whenever I was first watching them. I say the one thing that changed was variety shows started to be pushed more to YouTube and also started to have captions that were in different languages to bring in a bigger audience, which they did. Also, a lot of K-pop groups just have their own variety shows on their own YouTube channels like NHYPEN, TXT, LE SSERAFIM, NCT, and so many other groups have started to do this. So I honestly just believe overall these traditions haven't changed too much, and the added traditions, I just don't have an issue with them. Oh, I also forgot to mention the variety show that Jonathan hosts. It is a really funny show. It's one of my favorite variety shows out there right now. It's actually one of the only variety shows I watch a lot nowadays. I just find the humor of it really funny. There's a lot of satire, there's a lot of sarcasm. If you enjoy variety shows, then I strongly recommend watching this one. So this one has been talked about for a very long time, but this is something that was very prominent within second gen and like the start of third gen, where a lot of K-pop idols, whether they were female or male, used to just interact with each other. A lot of them were close friends, but as third gen came to their end, you could definitely start to see the dynamics of these groups shift a lot because of how huge K-pop was getting and just because of the amount of shipping there was. They couldn't look in the direction of an idol without being shipped with them. It was actually insane. And nowadays it's just 10 times worse. And I definitely feel like companies and K-pop groups have seen fans talk about this because all of a sudden we started getting collabs where all these idols would start doing dances with each other, and this became a trend. I have no idea who the first to do this was, but I think it was a very interesting idea. And while I really do love these videos, I do have to say that a lot of times the idols look super awkward. I think these collabs are supposed to be kind of like the answer to all the complaints about K-pop idols not interacting with each other anymore. But I noticed in these collabs, especially whenever there's a girl group idol and a boy group idol, I noticed that it's super awkward. They're supposed to look like, you know, they're friends, but at the same time, they're still being super wary of what they do around that idol. They're trying not to touch them, they're trying not to look at them too long. And it's super funny whenever you notice it because they're trying so hard to like not make it look like they're dating or they like each other or anything like that. And also seeing the behind the scenes of these collaborations as well, they're insane. It's not just a person holding a phone recording these idols, it's an entire team of people recording these. They have like lights set up and everything. Like, this is a whole production, and it's so funny to me. I'm like, this is like a 10-second clip, and like there's all these staff members, there's all these lights everywhere. I think the most authentic interactions that we've actually seen with a girl group idol and a male group idol is whenever they're MCs for Music Bank. So I've talked about lip syncing a bit in my unpopular opinions video, which I pretty much just said that I am okay with lip syncing if it's not done constantly, because lip syncing is literally a form of vocal rest and it helps with vocal health as well, especially in this type of fast-paced industry. And while yes, I definitely miss the days when idols were singing live, at this point I just don't have an issue with it. I mean, this started to become an issue like I think the end of third gen, and I think it's just because of the amount of hate so many third gen idols would get if their voice cracked. Like, all vocalists have bad days, especially in this industry, and I just feel like nowadays I think they're also just trying their best to save the idol's image because of how much people can drag on the fact that this person's voice cracked. Yeah, they're singing non-stop all the time. A lot of these idols are not on proper diets. A proper diet goes into vocal health as well. And I think, again, with a lot of these changes we'll see, it mostly comes from fans just being overly critical but also hypocritical. While I definitely agree that a lot of these idols do need vocal training, and for some reason a lot of these companies who have enough money to provide it aren't providing it, I can understand that. All I have to say, lip syncing every once in a while is very healthy. Lip syncing all the time definitely robs you of getting better vocally, and it definitely doesn't help you work on your stamina, which is something you should already be doing whenever you're rehearsing and practicing. But I have no idea how these companies train them, if they train them. But that was all for this video. This is just part one because there are so many different new and old traditions that I want to discuss. I wanted to break this into parts instead because I think this video would have been an hour long if I would have included everything, and I'm not too sure right now if that would be enjoyable to watch. I think that I will probably have 3 parts of this. I have so much more to talk about. I would love to know all of your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like and subscribe. I hope everyone has an amazing day. Bye bye!